intro. Alright. You got it,
Shalom. We are the Hebrew Israelites.
Right.
We come in week and week out to prophesy the downfall of this kingdom. Talking about America, which is Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah, and the reincarnation. We want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. And a double honors unto the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone, which are the apostles and the elders of Yasharahla on earth today. And a sincere salutation to Akim on the highways and byways, preaching this word in truth and in sincerity, man.
This is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation?
Where does he say that?
Let me see the book.
Where does he say that?
Isaiah 14. What is that?
Yeah, go ahead, find it.
Okay. When were you reading that where it says
reading that verse 12.
Right here, 14, right here. 14 and 12.
You gotta take off your sunglasses.
Okay. It says,
spying on his girlfriend.
Wait, Heather. Not Heather.
Hey, you know what's heavy though? That's the spirit of the Most High though, because we was talking about the destruction before the camera started, and look how the Most High, you know what I'm saying, brought it out.
Say that again, say that again.
I said that's heavy because before we commenced camp, we was already talking about the destruction of America, man. And the Most High set it up beautifully that's the description that's coming
right there on the 11th verse. Who can't fuck me over? Look, right there on the 11th. Now I'm gone. The nigga
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 11. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 11.
It says what? Wow.
Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy bowels.
Which is bowels or pipes.
The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee.
His greatest weapon is music.
Anyway, let's break it down. Let's break it down.
We were going into what Lucifer was in this. No, that's a Christian fable.
Right, but some people believe that there were 4 archangels.
Lucifer, Gabriel, Michael,
and that's how he was able to take one.
Yeah, so Satan is a son of God, but he did not war against the Lord. So Lucifer,
Satan's a created being.
Lucifer is a title. It's a title. And it's a title for a man. Because when you go down in this verse, it says, art thou the man?
Verse 16.
Yeah, so I'm going to go down in this verse, same verse. Isaiah 14, verse 16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble?
Right, now the spiritual being.
What is that word in the original Hebrew though? What is the word man? No, look at the word man in the original Hebrew.
Okay, now while you on that, when you getting that, go to 2 Thessalonians.
Let me get Job.
Hold on.
Because Revelation says the same thing. That Satan Lucifer will be put in front of.
But that's because
is this the one that
Lucifer is a title? It just means light bearer.
It's light bearer.
Which go back to another word, which means illuminate.
So what's the point with that? What does that
The
matter?
point is that there's a spiritual demon, Satan, and then there are people or a nation of people known as the wicked on the earth.
True.
So Lucifer falling from heaven is talking about the so-called white man who's Esau, Edom in the scriptures, falling from his rulership. Because heaven means it's symbolic of rulership.
Right. You know what's interesting? I can't stay in with you guys all night like I'd like to, but what's interesting is that Lucifer had the desire, if you read the book of Revelation, to take over this world. Like
he still does.
He still does. But what I'm saying he didn't have a desire to create a new world. Like he wants this world. Like this is the world.
What? When the he that you're referring to, are you talking about his physical counterpart on the earth, or are you still talking about the angel that so-called fell out of heaven with a third of the angels?
I'm not sure I have an opinion on which one. Right? Okay. So Lucifer definitely has a spirit being that
there
will
is
live forever.
Right. The Most High,
because he'll be cast into
the Most High through his son Yahawashi created.
Yahawashi, what is that?
Yahawashi is the true divine name of the son.
In Hebrew.
In the Paleo Hebrew. Yah meaning he, YAHAWASHI meaning deliverer or savior. Because back then they named their children ormonomens, which was their destiny.
So use YAHAWASHI and where it's used in the Bible.
Hold on, before we get there, we will tell you Lucifer. Lucifer is referring to the so-called white man on the planet Earth. Why? Because he's in rulership of the earth right now.
Yeah, so we're gonna break down this stronghold through the spirit of YAHAWASHI, because there's a spiritual demon Satan, and then there's Lucifer as a title, man. It means light bearer or bringer of light. All right. Now it says in Ezekiel.
So interesting because Yahweh was spiritual and he became biology.
No, that's false.
So Jesus was not God.
He's the son.
He's the son. Can I ask you a question?
Jesus was a man though at one point.
Yes.
Okay. So there's that biological. Jesus was a spiritual being.
No.
Jesus was the Son of God.
He is the Son of God.
He is the Son of God.
He's the first created.
Yes, but so Jesus is not like other men.
No.
So in that same regard,
But he was born like other men.
Yes.
But his spirit kept the laws.
so
So
in
it's
that
perfect
same
on
way,
him.
maybe Lucifer has a spiritual.
Oh, I got it right here. I got it right here.
That makes sense?
Listen, hold on. I got it right here. Check this out. This is Job chapter 2, starting at verse 1. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. Now, we know the sons of God here is referred to the angelic beings, right? It says, and Satan came also, listen, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. So that shows that cuts that whole fallacy about Satan rising up against the Most High and going to war, getting jealous, because there's so many different innuendos going into why Lucifer got jealous and fell out of heaven with the 30 angels.
This is not a rhetorical question. This is a real question. Why is that important?
Why is what? Oh, for truth's sake.
But what does that make different than what most people?
Because when you sit there and say that the Most High's angels rebelled against him, you're calling the Most High imperfect, and you're not calling him the Almighty.
Gotcha.
By default, that's what you probably don't mean to.
What about humans?
By default. Hold on, you kind of jumping, but listen, take your time. I'm going to start from the top again, all right? This is Job chapter 2 and verse 1. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. So Satan is still in the spiritual heaven with the Most High. If this was military and the Most High was having his morning formations, Lucifer is still present. And he's never got cast out of heaven the way they try to show. But hold on.
Why is that important?
I just explained it.
No.
Yeah, because
people believe wrong.
Because that's a Christianity doctrine.
It's false and it's not true.
People believe wrong. So
the Lord says that you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free.
Lucifer still sits in heaven.
But you had a question. You had a question.
All right, no problem. That's what's up.
You had a question. You had a question if Satan had children, right? If he had seed, right? This is Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. 3 verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, which is talking about, he's talking to Satan, right? I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise thy heel.
Right, now that woman is talking about, that's eventually talking about Israel and Esau. And we know that the woman doesn't bear seed. So that woman is
I got it right here. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, verse 2. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman.
right, because as the nation of Israel, we're supposed to be married unto the Lord. We're married unto the Lord. How? By following his laws, statutes, and commandments. So that woman in Genesis is talking about the nation of Israel. Right?
You said something earlier, let me come back to it. You said white,
so-called white people.
White. I can't remember how you said it. Basically, like the white ruler. Use the phrase. I can't remember. You use the white.
So-called white.
So-called white. You were referring to this current age. And white, you're referring to white people. White people.
So-called.
Right, because in the Bible you don't see white people, you don't see black people, you see nations. You don't see those colors in the scriptures.
So what is the Bible, or what are you saying about Rockefeller and all that? That's something to be cognizant of.
Because they descend from a man in the Bible named Esau, which was the older twin brother of Jacob.
Gotcha.
Now we know that if somebody can get in the Zondervan's Bible Compact Dictionary, if someone.
Well, why is that significant?
I'm going to explain it to you right now. If somebody could just get it. Yeah, stop. Esau, in the scriptures, when you read Genesis chapter 25, 26, and 27, it gives you the whole rundown. Matter of fact, it's like if you want to get that, Genesis 24, 20, you can start at like 23 or 21. But we're going to get it out of the scriptures, because up here we like to let the scriptures do the talking. We try not to. 25, yeah, 21.
This is Genesis chapter 25, verse 21. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him.
So at this time, Isaac and his wife Rebecca, she couldn't have. You obviously know barren means a woman that can't have children, right? So Isaac entreated of the Lord. Go ahead. For his wife, for that.
And Rebecca, his wife, conceived. Right. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus?
Right, so this was a woman that was just barren. Now the Most High blessed and opened up her womb and allowed it to bear children now, right? But she's like, you know, I thought this was supposed to be a blessing, basically, but they're fighting. Why? You know, if this is a blessing, why am I having these complications, right? And the scripture's going to explain it.
And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the young.
So right here what we're witnessing is that 2 people inside one womb with same mother and same father are being separated right here at birth. 2 different nations and manners.
And where did they wind up?
I'm going to show you. We're going to get to all of that right now, if you have the time. Go with me. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau.
Now in the Hebrew, that word Esau is Ishashua, which translates to wasted away is he. Now what was wasted away about him was his pigmentation. He wasn't red and hairy. What he was red like a hairy garment, because it was a custom at the time.
He was white.
So-called white. They dyed garments red. Okay? So he was being compared to a red garment. Now we know that when so-called white people are born, they're not really white. This is white. They're actually red. I think it was in the 1600s where they invented the classes of white and black people. 1681, I guess.
Why is that significant?
Because for truth's sake, once again, and our people are confused. They're in a confused state. Our main target is to wake up a remnant of these people, namely 12,000 men out of each tribe.
I can say this: if you go by today's world and the classifications that they have in today's world, you wouldn't understand the characters that are in this book.
I understand. I get it. I get it.
And that actually
what you're saying is all of this white.
Those are all titles.
That's titles.
That are the false. This is what's real.
Right.
And when we don't understand that,
you don't
understand.
Right. You won't understand the scripture.
Because if you know of a man named Alexander the Great, right, or the Greek, we call him the Greek. But when he conquered nations, the first thing he did was change the names of the people and the land. And that started that confusion.
And is that something that was foretold in the scripture?
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. That was definitely prophesied. Yeah, definitely.
And so if you could see it restored back to what it should be, what would that look like?
You're actually looking at it right now.
It's being restored.
It's being restored, but you're looking at it right here because At a certain point, us brothers up here were calling ourselves African Americans, which is a byword, which African American goes back to Leo Scipio Africanos, and then a man named Amerigo Vespucci, who's a map maker. Some of us were calling ourselves Jamaican, which means land of bread and water. None of that is a nationality. Those are bywords and proverbs put on us by our oppressors. Now, brothers are calling themselves Judites, Benjamites, Levites, because that's our true heritage and our nationality.
Now, what is it?
It's truth sake.
So where's those who are white? Where would they be on?
Okay, that's what we were getting into. Right. If you could want to go back into Genesis chapter 25.
They're not one of the 12.
No, they're not.
They're Esau.
Right.
Esau is
exactly. So one of Esau would be the uncle of the 12 patriarchs.
Esau is not,
he's not
promised.
Exactly.
The promise was never supposed to come through Esau.
It went through, who did it go through? Abraham, Isaac, to Jacob. Right. Hey, what's your nationality, if you don't mind me asking?
So my mother is Mexican.
Okay.
My father is from Ireland.
Ireland?
Ireland.
Well, if you know anything about the Moors, your father is from the sea. If you know anything about the Moors, man, you know that during the Dark Ages, mainly these three tribes, Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, actually ran Europe for 1,000 years after the fall of the Roman Empire. So a lot of so-called, that's why we heavily stress so-called, because going by, like the brother brought out, going by the principle of this world, you wouldn't understand race. Race is you being who your father is.
If I can show them this is a Irish coat of arms. So our people spread seeds all across Europe during the Dark Ages as well.
The men, right. We slept with a lot of the women and 4 children. Obviously, with white women, our children will become out light-skinned. But when you go back to Genesis chapter 25, it said 2 manner of people. And I like to stress that. Why? Because a Hebrew Israelite is going to have a certain spirit on them, a certain flavor. The scripture says that we're the salt of the earth. Salt does what? Salt brings flavor. It's a flavor enhancer. It's also a preservative. You get what I'm saying? So there's a certain spirit and characteristics about how we carry ourselves, how we walk, and how we talk, what identifies, mainly if you can wake up to this truth as well. Shows that.
And when you look at all the sports, right? Who dominates a majority of the sports? What nation?
The people on this side, Negroes, Latinos, and And Ireland, you said Irish, right? In Ireland, if I'm not mistaken, the ancient name of Ireland is actually Hibernia. Now, Hibernia, when you go break that word down, the word Ibar is in there. Now, Ibar is, I think, the grandson or the great-grandson of Shem, Noah's son, eldest son out of the flood. Now, that word Ibar actually is Hebrew, the word itself.
And the word Ireland means land of irate, land of the irate.
Right.
That's right.
So Hibernia. So a lot of our ancestors that ran Europe for that 1,000-year period, they knew that they were the Israelites.
All right. I gotta go in a second, but I'm out here every day.
Okay.
So if you guys were on TV talking to the whole world for 60 seconds, everyone had to watch, what would you want to tell them?
I would first and foremost, we want to give all praises and honor and glory to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI. Double honors to the elect. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GREATMILLSTONE. And But first and foremost, we got
But you'd want people out there to know beyond that. Your message is
come out of false religion, out of Roman Catholicism.
Right.
Come out of Roman Catholicism.
Our people.
Roman Catholicism.
Specifically our people.
Mainly your people.
Mainly these people.
Gotcha.
Come back to their heritage.
And
Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans.
Okay. And I'm gonna stumble on this one, so you're gonna have to forgive me if it doesn't come out right. But a lot of the bondage that your people, as you put it,
could be your people.
I got you, but I'm just using. A lot of the bondage your people have been in could be because they don't understand this.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the main reason. That's the main reason.
Like he was being crazy, but when Kanye said slavery was a choice, although he didn't really say it that way, there is something about not understanding your roots and heritage that keep you enslaved.
And which is why
Mentally.
going back to your
That makes
question,
sense?
I got
yeah,
100%
makes perfect
right.
sense.
Hold on, let him bring this out.
This is, hold on, let me get this one. Amos chapter 3, verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities.
Right. Because we disobeyed the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. So because we disobeyed, I want to get that in Deuteronomy 28. The Most High put curses on the whole nation of Israel.
So I got a precept. I got a precept about your choice. This is Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. This is Moses talking to the children of Israel. He says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Because he gave us blessings and curses. He said, this day, choose if you're going to follow the Lord and be blessed, or if you're not going to follow him and be cursed. So in a sense, it is true.
That life is
My name is Andre Bailey.
Nice to meet you.
Andre Bailey. What's your name, guys?
Oh, yeah.
I'm Andre. I live 55 West. My office right there. I try to do a lot of leadership programs, get people like help people in poverty and homeless people and all that. And I know all the rich white people too. I try to get all the rich white people to give some money up and help poor people.
Yeah, but this is real riches though, man.
It's interesting.
This is the real riches, man.
I've never heard someone talk about this.
This is the real riches, man. We live up our treasures, man.
So let me give you one thought, random. So Genesis, God created the heavens and the earth. The word heavens means space. Earth does not mean the planet Earth. It means as though you reach into the dirt and grab it and sprinkle it. God created space and elements. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And so he did all that. He created people. People messed up. And then there's this pathway that we wound up. So God ends up talking to Moses at the burning bush. I'm skipping ahead, right? When he talks to Moses at the burning bush, it's the first time God is addressing a human as the leader of a group. Go back and look at it. And he says, go back and look at it. He's addressing Moses, and he's not just saying, Moses, do this. He's saying, Moses, tell them, now the nation of Israel is back together. It's time to move. And Moses says this, who shall I say sent? What is this God's name? And he says, tell them,
I am.
Elhei, E-L-J-E-H, and that means there's a few translations, but one of them means Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the God who exists out of time. I am He. Tell them I am He who exists out of time.
Do you know what that translates to?
Well, that's the translation. Like that He exists. Tell him the one that exists outside of your constraints.
Come on, what is it? Well, say it then. Say it in the Hebrew.
He exists.
Say it in the Hebrew.
E-L-J-E-H.
There's no J. There's no J in the Paleo Hebrew.
Or E.
That's Yiddish.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you because I feel you have a jig spirit on you. It's Yahawah. Yahawah. And another way you can prove that too is when you go to Genesis, when Judah was born, his mother said that right now I shall praise the Lord, therefore I shall call his name Judah, right?
Yep.
There's no J in the Hebrew. The proper way to say Judah is Yahawah.
So here's my point though.
Right.
Let's say that was thousands of years ago, whatever it was, and today is today. So to the God that spoke that name, and this moment and that are the same thing. Like,
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. I'm sorry.
This moment and that moment are the same.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely
correct,
right.
because there's no new thing under the sun.
It's just.
You're absolutely right.
It's like so. So it's not like everything else was wrong. It's that if this is right, then it's just time.
Can I make one point to you? What happened was the Lord is right. God is perfect. God knows. We didn't understand. So all these things, thousands of years passed, so we can understand who the wicked is. We can understand what is. It was for us a learning process.
Because why? Reincarnation is in the scriptures.
Yeah.
What you got to understand is that every time we came back, each time we came back, that was the Most High and burning out the impurities out of us.
Refining.
That's why when you go through the scriptures, it compares this people as fine gold. Now we both know what gold has to go through in the earth to become gold. It goes through trials and tribulation and torture within the earth. And then and what's the end product? A fine piece of gold that's not wavered. The color can't change, right? And that people die over, literally. So that's what the test was. Every time we came back was more of the furnace of affliction. More and more and more learning and torture. That's all it is.
We want to bring something out real quick according to what you said in the book of Exodus.
This is Exodus chapter 3 and verse 13. And Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them? And God said unto Moses, I am that I am.
Yeah, so right there, that wasn't the name that he didn't give them the name at that time.
Yeah.
He said, just tell them I am that I am, right? So we're going to see when he gave them the name.
And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. And God said moreover unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath sent me unto you, and this is my name.
This is my, so that's when he gave them the name, not when he said I am that I am.
Right. And can I do one more thing before you leave? Yeah. All right, check this out. You made a comment earlier about, Jesus, the one they call Jesus Christ being God, right? Yeah. Now, you just said that God himself was outside of time, right? Well, the scriptures tells you that YAHAWASHI, the Son, has a beginning. So when you have a beginning, that means you're inside the confinement of time, which proves that there are two separate entities. The Most High himself doesn't have a beginning. He's the ancient of days. His Son has a beginning, which means he was a creation. He was just the first creation. And through him, the Most High created the blueprint, created his Son. The firstborn is what? The firstborn usually gets the blessing, the inheritance. So because he was the first thing created, the Most High gave him the inheritance, which is everything. And through him, he actually created everything physically. And he poured it up the
This is Colossians chapter 1 verse 15. Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature.
The firstborn of every creature. If he was the firstborn, that means him and the Father are two different separate entities.
Right.
Go ahead,
Fine. Verse 16. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created by him,
right.
for him.
So really and truly, the Son, he physically created everything, but he created everything by the order of his Father.
So basically what he said, the Most High Yahawah gave his Son the whole blueprint, like an architect thing.
And you know how a contracting works, big, right? So the Most High had a job, and he got the contract. You get what I'm saying? But it's still by the order of the Most High.
I got it. This is Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
And the word God there in the Hebrew is Allahayim. Now when you add the word Allah, the yum to anything in the end of a word in the Hebrew makes it plural. So it's like you go to that one more time.
This is Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. In the
Hey. White boy, come on, let's do it.
What's your issue?
No.
Are you trying to learn something?
Yes, I am. Stop. I'm not like that. I'm not like, hey.
I trust you.
Hey, listen, guys. I'm not like that. Hey, listen. One thing. My wife and I, we've been working so hard to get a baby. And you know what I do? I'll cry right now. I will cry with you.
Edomites come up here crying. You ever notice that? Let them cry. Yeah, that's crazy. That's like
I would cry right now.
But what the brother was touching on Genesis was that in the beginning it says Alahayim, which is plural for powers or judges.
right.
Guys.
Because YAHAWASHI was there in the beginning, but he was the first spirit created. So
my life
with him being the first spirit created, he created the angels, and then the angels and the first fruits, the first spirits, and they created the heaven and earth. They created all things by the sanction of the Lord. So the brother was bringing that out beautifully, because this world, man, doesn't understand the true nature of Yahawah Shemel Shah.
Guys, everybody's hating on me. Come on, grab my hand. I swear.
We don't grab hands. Hey, we don't pray in public either, man. The Lord told us not to do that in Matthew 6. It says go in your closet, close the door, and pray. Secrecy, man.
Isaiah chapter 60 verse 1, arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people, but the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Because this world is engrossed and engulfed in darkness.
That's the tribe you come from. If you got questions, you gotta ask the speaker.
Yeah, you children of the Lord.
The Tainos.
Lord's chosen.
Chosen people.
I am.
But the darkness is covering the whole entire planet, man. That's why people believe that God put on a fleshly body, and walked the earth and sacrificed himself, and then got back into heaven. That's why the world believes that God created the world without actually having anybody else being around. That the Lord was by himself in creation, and that's not according to understanding. That's not according to the scripture.
This is Proverbs chapter 21 verse 16. Just backing you up on the gross darkness. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
And that's exactly where they will remain, because they're covered in gross darkness. And it says that if you're not keeping these law, statutes, and commandments, then you're not living. Anything outside of the law, statutes, and commandments is death, man. The Lord gave the children of Yasharallah the law, statutes, and commandments as a sign of wisdom and understanding in how to manage yourself on the planet Earth.
This is Proverbs chapter 8 verse 36. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death.
Yeah, so everybody that hate the Lord loves death, man. All these people that party and have a good ass time, death is waiting on them, because their mind is not occupied on Yahawah Shemel Shah. Their mind is not occupied on the Lord. And because of that, the world is engulfed in darkness, and people are waiting on death, man.
This is Job chapter 36 and 11. It says, if they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures. Verse 12, but if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge.
And that's what's happening. Now you got a lot of people that's just waiting to die, man. They don't have knowledge, and they are willfully ignorant, man. And Peter, it tells you that the people are willfully ignorant, that the world had was destroyed in the beginning by the flood, and that a second death is being prepared for this world. And these people are going to die without knowledge, because the knowledge that they have is of wickedness, which is not of wisdom. All right, so the world is covered in this darkness and this dark spirit and this dark countenance of no knowledge, and because of it, all these people walk into death, man, and they gladly walk into death.
But you don't actually believe in that. Well, no, I mean, you turn to someone else.
All right, man, take care.
You clearly can't.
Because this world is not. This world hasn't been given the spiritual understanding of the Lord, man.
You got Isaiah 60 and 2?
60 and 2? Yeah. This world hasn't been given the knowledge of Yahawah Shemel Shah. It says faith is a gift. So the Lord didn't give this knowledge and understanding to the whole world, man, and because of that, they can't receive it, man. The Lord said it was meant for you to understand the knowledge of the kingdom of heaven, but unto them it was not given. The Lord didn't call wise men out of this world, man. You got it up.
I got one. It says Jeremiah chapter 13, verse 15. Hear ye and give ear. Be not proud, for the Lord hath spoken. Give glory to the Lord, Salaki. Give glory to YAHAWASHI before he caused darkness and before your feet stumble upon the dark mountains. And while ye look for light, he turned it into the shadow of death and make it gross darkness.
And that's what you have now, man. You have people who are void of light, man. Void of understanding. The understanding that they've been given, is not of knowledge.
This is Isaiah chapter 28, verse 13. But the word of the Lord was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they may go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken.
So the words of the Lord are meant to snare all of the wicked. The words of the Lord are meant to offend all of the wicked, man, because it wasn't given unto them, man. And now we're coming into the time where the knowledge that the so-called white man put out here on the planet Earth is being broken down, man. And now people are upset about that.
Which is what? When you read Obadiah 6, it tells you how were the things of Esau searched up. Now, what you got, I can to understand is that Esau's power was in secrecy, man.
Right.
That was his secret. That was his power. Doing things in secret. Which is why when you go into Psalms 83, it called us the hidden ones. You know, because what? We were hidden. Why? Because we lost our nationality. While the wise men are the T-men, which is this 1% they knew. You know, but now that the Most High is doing what? He's bringing us to our remembrance, man. And Esau is coming down. Now everybody and their mother knows the word Illuminati, man. Right. At a point in time, you wouldn't even heard that word. That's before my time, but you know, when I listen to the older and the wiser men speak, there was a time that, you know, the word Illuminati was unheard of. You know, now there's videos all over the unicorn, which is the web, man, talking about the Illuminati, man. So there's secrecy, their skirt is being lifted, man.
And if I can say this, not only that, but the Most High used Esau himself to reveal some of his wickedness.
House be divided, you know, on itself.
You got a question? Again?
I'm just trying to understand. Like last time I came over here and asked you guys about this, I heard I got like a lot of super anti-Semitic feedback.
Man, you coming with science, man.
I come in with a perspective, a point of view that I ask you.
What's your question?
My question is, what is it that you exactly represent?
It's on the sign.
I know, but this is ambiguous to the regular guy, regular Joe Schmo, right? Including myself.
This is the chosen nation of the Lord.
No.
You're asking what we're about, so I'm gonna tell you. All right.
Tell me.
This is the chosen nation of the Lord, according to prophecy, according to the Bible. That's what we believe in. The prophecy is that this nation is going to rule, and the nation that's in rulership right now is going to fall and be put into slavery.
Does not include West Indians.
That's you asked us a question, and we answered your question according to what we believe.
What Bible are you talking about? Where is this prophecy come from?
It's coming from the Bible.
The Bible does not include Negroes or West
Indians. I got you. Isaiah chapter 2, starting at verse 1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass, meaning it will happen, in the last days, that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow onto it.
So in that's a future prophecy. What you don't understand is that Negroes aren't going to.
Where did they specifically say any of these things? I'm telling you right now. Okay. We can agree though, right? Beforehand. No. Stop for a second.
You're going to have to let us have a
agree. Why don't we agree beforehand?
Now let us. We're going to let you know.
You don't agree with me beforehand.
You're going to let us talk.
All
right.
I'm just saying that
beforehand. You're going to let us talk, right?
Yeah, but you're going to allow it for another perspective also to question, right?
You asked us a question, right?
The whole point of this, right, is that your perspective is correct, right?
No,
and so you should allow for other people to question.
You asked us a question.
And show how correct it is.
But you asked us a question, right? You asked us a question, right?
Should I not be allowed to ask you a question?
We're answering your question. You're not letting us answer the question.
You're not allowing me to elaborate on the question.
How you asked us what our message is? How do you need to elaborate?
I'm asking for what your message is. You allowed him. You can talk over me.
You're gonna ask a question and then elaborate on my answer.
The so-called white man to come up here. The so-called white man to come up here and try to control the dialogue.
Right.
Look, if you're not controlling the dialogue here, if you got a question, ask us a question and let us answer it.
You're not controlling the dialogue. I'm asking.
We don't want to talk. We don't have to deal with
you. Guess what? You know what we believe in?
Goddamn.
You're gonna go into captivity under us, and after 1,000 years, we'll put you to death, man.
And what evidence?
And your people won't exist no more.
The Bible.
What evidence? The scriptures.
The scriptures.
And then you know what other evidence we have of that?
Okay.
Hey, your people are pumping fucking chemtrails in the sky every day, fluoride in the water, GMO foods.
You mean my people who are disproportionately succeeding as opposed to everyone else in society?
Yeah, just because you white people stole everything.
You stole everything.
Why you got it.
Oh, I'm white, right? I'm clearly white. I'm so white.
Well, actually, you're red.
You know nothing about me or my background, but I'm obviously white based on what you
You're a so-called white man. You're a so-called white man.
You come from a people that do nothing but rape, rob, and
dress
murder.
like a so-called white man.
You steal heritages.
You're a culture
everything
about my culture.
It's evident.
Don't tell me all about my heritage, right?
Hey,
tell me about my heritage.
Just judging. Look, you see these buildings that you build? That shit, each apartment,
tell me when did my family
Hey, listen, let me show you something. Each building, each office or apartment is a fucking. You know what it represents? That shit represents the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia, man. Where your people come from, Caucasians, cave dwellers, man.
Where?
You're Caucasoids, man. You know what your people ate?
Where from and when?
Just told you.
My whole point is that what you're saying and what you're spouting and what you're saying is like truth. You have yet to even truly question.
I don't care what you think, man.
Well, I know for a fact you won't even ask.
Why are you here?
You just assume the answer. You're just
Hold on. I got a scripture. You want to know what we're about?
I love you guys.
Here. I let the Bible speak. This is what we're about.
I see you guys as
let the scriptures come out.
I know you asked them what we're about.
So much.
Go ahead and bring the precepts out.
Hold on, this is what we're about. Hold on. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children.
No pictures, please.
For the iniquity of their fathers. Are you listening? That's what we're about. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
So what we believe in is that you so-called white people are going to pay for what you've done. That's point blank period. You come up here in the spirit of the so-called white man. You up here defending the white race, then why are you doing it?
I got more.
Hey, listen, you know what's crazy? Even if by some chance you are under son, ye are of your father the devil, man.
My dad is not white.
Listen, you're coming in that spirit. Bro.
Is that so white?
So what? Just go and join the rest of the empire.
My whole thing is that I care about
those are Ottoman Turks over there, man.
If you're truly in sync of truth,
that's the spirit of Esau.
Like you seem to
that's the spirit of Esau.
That's the spirit of Esau. Because Iran is what? Those are the Persians, right?
Yes.
No, exactly. But those people over there now are not the Persians. Those are the Ottoman Turks, man.
They are Persians.
Those are Edomites.
They're not.
It's a lot of Ottoman Turks.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot of Ottoman Turks and Turks.
I spoke to an Ottoman Turk myself personally from Egypt, and he told me not a lot of people know that we actually come from Europe, man. That we so-called, that they're so-called white people, man. That did what? They learned the Arabic language and then converted to Islam.
But there are a lot of Persians in Iran.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
But what he's saying is that during the Ottoman Empire, those were so-called white people who kept the Muslim customs. So you could just because you're in Iran doesn't make you a Persian. Just like us just because you're in America doesn't make you an American. You weren't here when the natives were here. But your lineage doesn't descend from them. So you can say that you're from Iran and your father's, or you can say that your father's Iranian. Doesn't mean that you're a Persian. You can still be an Edomite.
But I am actually Persian.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I do. I've had genetic testing. I am actually Persian.
Genetics doesn't tell you
Well, no. I mean,
And they can only act.
well, then what defines you? If you're saying that nothing defines you as what is.
The Father does, but
How about that?
thank you, the Spirit, man. And that's why we say
nothing
you
about.
coming in the spirit of an Edomite, man.
But a minute ago, he was saying that I'm not actually Persian because I don't actually know.
I said it's a possibility that you're not
You're
Persian.
saying it's a possibility that I'm not, right? But I actually am.
We judge you by the Spirit.
No. But I actually am. Like, I have been genetically tested. I am like 60%.
All right, but all right, know what? What's your point though?
Why are you here?
Because this is about your third time coming here.
Yeah.
This is not. Okay, this is not your first time.
I'm saying that this is. I'm asking you, what gives you actual evidence that supports this point of view?
Okay, let me ask you a question.
And you quoted the Bible, but did not actually give me anything that had.
Let me ask you a question. You're going too long.
I went for 5 seconds.
Who runs the planet Earth today? Is it the Chinese man?
No, it's humans.
No. Which set of so-called humans run the planet Earth? Is it the African?
Nobody.
Is it the Asian?
Nobody runs the Earth.
This guy's
No, it's the so-called white man.
No, it's not.
Yes, he does.
Okay, no. Who runs the banking? Who runs the banking?
Hold up.
Let's follow the money.
Calm down.
My bad. Chill, my bad. Who runs the banking system?
I don't know, probably Chinese people.
Humans. What kind of?
Man, he's a
majority of the world's
man.
dead.
I'm not dealing with
That's what
him.
we already had this conversation, man. We're gonna continue.
Yeah, move on.
Look, just because you can't debate my points.
Listen, we're not gonna deal with you.
You can
Yeah,
talk over
we're not
me,
gonna
you
deal
can
with
try
you.
to debate
We're not
my
gonna deal with
points.
you.
We're not debating your
Because
points.
what happens is these guys come up and their whole goal is to just stir up the shit.
Every single one of you. That's it.
Yeah, so we not worried about let's get Romans 3 and 3. Let's get Romans 3 and 3. Let's get Romans 3 and 3 because
This is Romans chapter 3, verse 3.
Yes.
For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? God forbid.
So we don't. Salaki, so we don't care what a so-called white man think about what we believe in. We believe that the Lord is going to give justice to our people for what the so-called white man did to our people, man. We believe that the Lord is going to put the other heathen nations in slavery for what they did to our people. And that's not something that we can hold that's tangible for a carnal man to understand, man. All of that is spiritually discerned. And a carnal man is not going to understand that. That's why the deception and the wine that Esau usually carries around, his spiritual wine, he usually carry around, and he can get anybody drunk off of it. And when you don't get drunk off his wine, it's an issue. We're comfortable in not being able to prove to a so-called white man that what the Lord's words said are going to come true. It's the whole point of having faith. You got it, Doc.
Yeah, if I can say this too, man, this scripture keeps coming out. Psalms chapter 2 and verse 1. Why do the heathen rage? And the people imagine a vain thing, man.
This is second time coming up here, and he already knew what we were about the first time he came, after the first time he came up here. Because it's not about him actually getting understanding. And that's why we say he came in the spirit of Esau. Because he came up here saying, I just want to understand, I got love for you guys. That's the words that are smoother than butter. That's the craft.
Got you right here, huh? This is Daniel chapter 12 and verse 10. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
And that shows you that he's of the wicked, man. He believes that he's an Iranian, and maybe he is, maybe he isn't, man. But the point is that the wicked are not going to understand what's going on right now in these scriptures, man. We're not going to be able to go to a Darwinian or one of your educational Mac Hill author, none of those books, and tell them about what's about to happen in the scriptures. Because Esau's not making legislation or education about the words of YAHAWASHI. He has an educational doctrine that's completely opposite of the spirit, man. That's why none of these people can receive the things of the spirit, because it's of the will of YAHAWASHI that he put the spirit on Esau to put all of this falsity, all these fallacies out here in the world. It's a